Hello friends, my name is Zekko and welcome to a brand new video. Liverpool have not started the Premier League season the way they would have wanted to. They've dropped points on both occasions, one at home, one away, and there are a number of reasons why I think this is happening. We're going to be diving into those in just a second, but before we do, I'd just like to say that if you enjoy the video, please leave it with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and let's talk about Liverpool, and do they have any problems? The first thing to note is that this is the start of the season. We are only 2 matches in, and we should not be getting ahead of ourselves. Liverpool are still an amazing team. They still have fantastic players, and they still will be at the very top of the table. But that's not exactly where they want to be, is it? They want to be winning leagues, they want to be winning Champions Leagues, and they want to be dominating teams at every instance, like they have done for the past few years. They currently sit in 12th position after 2 matches. They've drawn with both Fulham and Crystal Palace, and there have been some interesting signs and some nervy signs going on within the squad in those 2 games. Naturally, Manchester City sit at the top of the table, and that point difference of 4 points already will be something that Liverpool fans are going to be looking at and being concerned with. Remember, the Premier League title was only decided by 1 point last year, and a 4-point deficit this early in the season might prove detrimental for Liverpool going on in the future. We're going to begin with Liverpool's match against Fulham, their first game of the season. Now, I understand some of the circumstances relating to it. There are a couple of injuries. They were playing at 12:30 on a Saturday, which is not ideal for footballers. It's not ideal just generally, but they had to get on with it, as did Fulham. And Jurgen Klopp came out after the game, after they drew 2-2 with Fulham, and said something quite stark and quite shocking, to be honest, especially when you're talking about a Liverpool side that comes from Jurgen Klopp. He said that Liverpool lacked the attitude that they required to be able to play against Fulham at that level. Now, that's quite a damning indictment from their manager, because the first thing you would assume with Liverpool is the right attitude, the correct mentality to go into a game, to beat your opponents, to be able to dominate that match and make sure you get all 3 points. The fact that Jurgen Klopp automatically came out and said that they lacked that is a very, very concerning thing. Alarm bells must have been ringing for Liverpool fans when they heard that. I don't think it's that big of a deal at the end of the day, because I think it's the start of the season. But this is what I'm talking about. It's these little things that will creep into their game that will allow Manchester City, who are just a juggernaut at the top of the table, to plough ahead. Now, I think that overall it's going to be absolutely fine for Liverpool, but when you look at the players that they might have been able to change, might have been able to look at, I do think that they might suffer from a bit of fatigue, from a bit of mental fatigue, if anything, because of the amount of games they played last season, because of how strenuous it is, because of how tough it is, and they haven't made the additions that I think a lot of Liverpool fans would have wanted. We'll now move on to the Crystal Palace game, the game that's just happened where they drew 1-1. A couple of other instances have happened in that game, and we'll go over those in just a second. But I don't think you can question the attitude in this match specifically. I do think you can question some of the players though, and some of their performances. I don't think they were up to the level of Liverpool standard, and I don't think that it was a good enough performance to warrant winning the game at all, to be honest. I know there was a feeling around of Liverpool eventually breaking Crystal Palace down, but I just never thought they had the quality to be able to break open that Crystal Palace defence. Luis Diaz got a very good goal, but apart from that, they really were quite toothless. They had at least 24 shots, and 20 of them were off target. They only had 4 shots on target during the entire 90 minutes, and for a team that is vying for top-level football at the very pinnacle of the game, to be competing with Manchester City, that just simply is not good enough, especially when you have the likes of Mo Salah, you have the likes of Luis Diaz, you have the likes of Darwin Nunez. I just don't think that they showed enough quality during the game to be able to claim that they were hard done by. Yes, it is definitely 2 points dropped, and I do think that they should have been better during this match. It's again another game into the season, and they've dropped now 4 points out of 6. Not that we should be taking away anything from Crystal Palace, because they were fantastic. They set up to frustrate Liverpool, and that's exactly what they did. A bank of 5, a bank of 4, and 1 player up front was one thing that Liverpool just couldn't deal with. It was the midfield battle that I thought was specifically interesting for me because of the way that Fabinho plays, and he plays that as that deep lying 6 player. He was able to pass around and make sure that he was available for a lot of options, but he actually lost a lot of his duels. He only won 4 of his 11 ground duels. He won 1 of his aerials, but that's just not good enough for a team that you're looking to try and maintain pressure. Now, you could argue, if you're a Liverpool fan, that Crystal Palace got on the break and they scored with their first chance. Yes, that is true. But when you're Fabinho, you're meant to be cutting those out, and he just didn't. It's one of the major poor performances of the night that I really do think highlighted that there is something wrong in this Liverpool system. It's not necessarily the system that is the biggest issue, it's more the players within that system. I touched on Fabinho, and I also need to mention about Thiago, who was missing during this game from injury. He has been injured quite a lot of this time, and he's only getting older. Jordan Henderson is also 32 years old, and he's going to be losing his legs at some point. So you're looking at that midfield presence, and you're looking to see where the drive is. Fabinho's not going to be that player, neither is Thiago, and neither is Henderson. So where is that driving presence going to be coming from? Where is the abundance of energy? You start to wonder, with Mitrovic shoving over Henderson and then Fabinho losing out on his ground duels, you wonder where the physicality is with this Liverpool side. Thiago is never going to be that, and yes, he gives away the odd foul to try and make sure they maintain pressure. I'm not sure whether they have enough in the midfield engine going forwards, especially to drive them forwards to a Premier League title. We then look at the forward players, and I don't think that Mo Salah is really being given the amount of options that he's needed. He's missed a couple of chances, and yes, I know on another day he will score those, but really he needs to be given a little bit more. But actually the play came down through Luis Diaz, which is fine, but he's just not putting up the numbers that his comparable counterpart in Sadio Mane, and Liverpool fans won't like me for saying that, but they have to be compared because you've lost one and you've gained another player. And numbers are just not the same. They need to be better from Luis Diaz if they're going to be able to maintain a title challenge. We now need to talk about the elephant in the room, and what Darwin Nunez was doing here, I have no idea. Joachim Andersen clearly thought that he would be able to rile him up and get the better of him, and that's exactly what happened. A couple of nudges here and there, a battle on the pitch on a couple of occasions, and Darwin Nunez just flips. He turns around and headbutts him. What he is thinking, I cannot explain. It is absolute madness. He's let his teammates down, he's let his fans down, he's let his manager down, and the club, who have paid a good lot of money for him, and I would assume are putting him on good wages, would want better of him. It's just not good enough. A moment of absolute madness. And when you look at it, it really has put Liverpool in a precarious position because they don't have too many forward players to look at. Roberto Firmino is a doubt going into the next couple of games, and Nunez will be missing 3 of them because it's a straight red card due to violent conduct. We look at this, and I see a lot of people saying that it's unfair for him because he needs to adapt to the league. He needs to understand what it means to play for Liverpool and what it means to play in the Premier League. And if I'm completely honest, that is absolute nonsense. He does not need to understand how to behave himself in football. Nobody ever expects you to headbutt someone, regardless of what league you're in. He played in Portugal with some of the most difficult defenders to deal with. Some of the people who are going to rough you up continuously. They're really dirty on certain occasions. And the fact is that he didn't headbutt anyone in that league as far as I'm aware. He also played in the Champions League. So the idea that he needs to acclimatise to a league that he can't headbutt in is baffling to me. It's strange that he is getting the benefit of the doubt when clearly it's just a moment of madness and he really needs to rein in his attitude. Now, I'm sure the Klopp will do that for him. It's just disappointing that it's happened. And we all thought it would be a bit different once he scored that goal for Liverpool in the Charity Shield. I just wonder whether it will hamper his progression, the amount of attention he's going to get for this headbutt and the amount of money is paid for him. It's not his fault, but it doesn't help with occasions like this, and it's only going to dramatise every single appearance he makes that much more. So there you have it. There are a couple of problems that I'm seeing with Liverpool at the moment, and that's the reason why I think they're dropping points. The dynamism in the midfield is just lacking for me, and while Harvey Elliott is definitely a shining light, can you really pin a lot of your hopes on a kid who is only just 19 years old? We also look at the injury crisis with Thiago, who cannot seem to stay fit. Another hamstring injury is going to rule him out for a couple of weeks. And then you've also got Jordan Henderson, who will be getting a little bit older. He's starting to feel smaller injuries, and which means his game time is going to be limited. Fabinho is not up to his true self yet, and that is also causing a problem in these midfield areas. We then look at the defensive problems, and Virgil van Dijk is fantastic, but who can partner him with all of these injury-prone players? I really do think that they need to be looking to bolster the squad a little bit more, and perhaps an element of mental fatigue due to the amount of games they had to play previously is weighing on them, and sometimes a incoming of a new player will lift the squad. Darwin Nunez was meant to be that, but he has now scuppered that chance for a couple of matches after deciding to headbutt Joachim Andersen. Definitely a few headaches for Jurgen Klopp going into the next few games, and it's going to be make or break, I think, for Liverpool in the title race this early on. It's going to depend on whether they're able to bounce back, whether the mentality is going to be there. We always talk about Liverpool as a mentality monsters, and the fact that Jurgen Klopp came out in the first game of the season and said that they lacked the attitude and the application to be able to go and win a match is damning in itself. A lot of things for Liverpool to be looking at and Jurgen Klopp to be working at, and they don't have a lot of time. Next Monday, they have a game against Manchester United, which they are guaranteed to win because of how bad Man United are. So that might be able to be a springboard for Liverpool going forwards. It's going to be a tough couple of weeks for them as they look to bring in some more players, as they look to rejuvenate their own team and hopefully gun for the Premier League title. Interesting times ahead, but at the moment there are some problems to solve for Jurgen Klopp. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts on Liverpool are. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Are you a Liverpool fan and you think there are other issues? Or do you think everything is completely fine? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You can always let me know on Twitter as well. I'm on Twitter at Zekko64. That's generally where I post when my videos go live. But of course, you can already know that if you hit that notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Like I said, that's it from me for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.